this resume recording. I just resumed it.
Okay.
Naturally, LeetCode's going to be down right now, guys. Let's go to HackerRank. Let's go to another.
Yeah, LeetCode's not the only site that does these things. We had a couple ready to show you, luckily.
Might be, okay, I was going to say it's my internet. So yeah, HackerRank is another one that is very similar to LeetCode. So if you go to hackerrank.com, this one's a little more, I would say, polished than LeetCode, a little more professional. Gail McDowell, she's a software engineer that works with Google and Facebook and Apple. She is actually sponsored by the site. She wrote pretty much the book on coding interviews called Cracking the Coding Interview. She has a lot to do with this, but anyway, you go to the site and you can look at basic problem solving skills. Like they have the REST API certification. They have an interview preparation kit. So this will give you it'll basically give you problems that you can go through that's going to help you with those interviews. And then unlike LeetCode, you can learn more general skills. So like if we go here, we can go to skills. You can look at Python, databases, Ruby. They're a lot more broad in what they offer. And again, it is a little more curated than LeetCode, which is more focused on pure problem solving. So that's kind of like what HackerRank looks like. Let's see if LeetCode is pulling up. Still not. Okay, that's fine.
Are you for real? The one night we need it most.
Naturally, I am gonna go.
It's pulling up for me though.
Oh, it might be me then. It might be me.
Yeah, it's pulling up just fine.
Oh,
for
okay.
Me.
It just loaded for me as well.
Oh, okay.
Cool. So this is what LeetCode looks like with the homepage. It's pretty bare bones. But if you go to this Explore, and I highly recommend you guys do this if you are going to be using LeetCode. Let's give it a second. Well, one of you guys try to go to Explore and see if that loads for you, the Explore tab in LeetCode.
One thing I'll recommend, if Nick wasn't going to say this already, is that it's good to make an account for LeetCode, because then it'll save your submissions for each problem, and you can go back and refer to them if you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the Explore tab, the LeetCode challenges. And this, I will say I've participated in one. You do have to have a pretty good foundation to get started with these challenges, but I know a lot of people who have done them who testify that it works in terms of improving your ability. So they have them for months. So like this is the June one. And essentially there's just some rules, and you go through, you solve one LeetCode problem a day, essentially. So the first one for the first week is inverting a binary tree. So that's like a data structures one problem. Not easy necessarily, but also not too hard. So that they kind of go in that order where they start off kind of easier, and then once you get to the last week, you get to a little more difficult problems. But that's a good way to kind of hold yourself accountable. I think Liam, you mentioned like hour of code a day. So it's kind of similar to that in the sense that it's keeping you on track. I'm gonna go back here. But you can also, when I say that, Google uses this, Facebook uses this, if you get premium, and I'm not shilling premium because, we don't get sponsored by LeetCode. But if you are serious and you do want to, and you're going to be dedicated, premium is a good way to go. I think it's pretty expensive. It's like 25 bucks a month. But you get access to these interview questions that these companies are using, verified by other users going to these interviews. So if you wanted, Google interview questions, this would be a way to do it. You can do it through premium. But they have other stuff too, like they show you introduction to data structures, binary tree, right? So you can learn general topics here, just like you can at HackerRank. It's a little less curated, but they are available. What did I want to go to? Let's see.
Maybe the problems tab next.
Oh yeah, okay, we'll go there first. So we can go to problems. LeetCode is just being a little difficult for me for whatever reason.
Strange.
Do you want to switch to Liam's presentation since he'll be doing that thing anyway?
Yeah, we can do. Before we do that, let me just go to this last one that I wanted to show you guys, binary search. It's a little different. It's the same concept in terms of solving algorithms, but you can create rooms and invite other people to those rooms, and you guys can solve these together. So that's a really good way to test your skills. So you can time yourself. That's especially helpful for like a whiteboarding interview where you're only going to have 45 minutes to create this algorithm or to solve this problem. this is a good way to do it. So you can create these rooms and they're collaborative, very useful if you do plan on practicing your skills that way. But yeah, we can pass it over to Liam and we can show them the problem that we got for them this week.
So
All right,
basically in
y'all.
The ASAM chat. Here's the problem will be going on.
Let's see here.
Stop
Pull
sharing
up my.
Okay. Oh, looks like Gabe joined us. Let's see. Got a couple more people.
Gabe.
Howdy.
Awesome.
Hello, Gabe.
Hi.
Okay, so every week we're gonna post a new LeetCode problem in the chat, and to start things off, we've chosen this one. This is number 13 on the site. It's called Roman to integer. So basically, what this problem wants us to do is it wants us to create an algorithm that'll convert any string of Roman numerals into regular integers. So like I becomes 1, V becomes 5, so on and so forth. The good thing about this problem, and I'm pretty sure the same goes for other problems on LeetCode, is that the instructions basically point you in the right direction as to one of the ways you could solve it. So it's saying, 2 is II, which is just 2 1s added together. And 12 is written as XII, which is 10 plus 2. 27 is XXVII, which is 20 plus 5 plus 2. So it's basically hinting that you can use addition to solve this problem, right? Now, there are a few exceptions to this rule. 4 is not III, it's actually IV. So, when we're designing this algorithm, we need to keep track of these exceptions right here. I can come before V or X to make 4 and 9, and so on and so forth. So what this told me when I was solving this problem is that it can be solved via addition, and B, I need to keep track of the next character that comes after the current character that I'm looking at. So that way I can tell if the current character is I and then the next one is V, then that tells me, okay, this is not an I, this is actually 4 that I'm looking at right now. So I'm going to type out my solution to this, and I've got my full solution over here on my TV. So you'll probably see me looking over to it from time to time, but I'll do my best to not take too much time while I'm typing this out.
If you want to just go ahead and start typing, we can explain it as you go.
Okay, yeah.
That way you can focus on that.
So
we chose an easy one to start off with, just so everyone will hopefully be able to get an idea of or feel for it.
So I start out by initializing a few variables. It's always good to keep your things at the top, at least in terms of general coding, so that you can organize things better. And then, so we're going to be keeping track of the current character, the next character, and then we're going to have a sum that we keep adding onto throughout the whole loop. All right, so we're going to do a for loop, and we're going to loop through the whole string that we're given. So, and I'm typing this in Java, by the way. One thing I'll say is that in LeetCode and on other sites like HackerRank, you can choose the language you want to submit problems in. I personally prefer Java for these kinds of problems, but you can choose anything really. I++. All right, so the first thing we need to do in the loop is check the current character and the next character. So I'm going to set the current character to s.car@I. And then we need to, before we check the next character, we need to make sure it exists first, because for all we know, we could be at the end of the string. And so we don't want to get an out of boundary error. So how I did this part is if I plus 1 is then s dot length. Sorry about this. Just making sure I type in the right thing. If I plus 1 is greater. I actually put a sign here. I'm trying to remember why I put a less than sign right here. Sometimes even when I'm going back over these kinds of problems, they can throw me off guard.
Yep.
So you have to make sure it's less than, so you don't actually go beyond what the string is. So you want to make sure that I plus 1 is not the length of this string.
Right.
Since array start at 0, the last character is actually at index whatever the string length minus 1, not actually just the length of the string.
So if we're not at the end of the string, then we're going to set the next char to string char at I plus 1. And from there, else, if we are at the end of the string, then we're just going to set next char to be an empty space. All right, so how I solved this problem is I used a switch statement for the current char. And basically, I just went through every possible case, like every possible letter there could be for the current char. And depending on what letter that is, I added that amount that it equals to the sum. So what we're doing is we're going through the whole Roman numeral string, we're looping through it, and then we're looking at each character, and we're saying, okay, what number does this equal? And then we're taking that number and we're adding it to our sum. And then we're also going to account for these exceptions that I mentioned earlier. I'll talk about those when we get there.
By the way, if you have any questions, like if you have no idea like what Java even is, or what any of these words on screen might mean, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll be happy to help.
Yeah, please feel free to ask any questions at all.
Sometimes we forget, some of the people that show up haven't taken any coding classes yet.
So in the case of current character being M, we are going to add 1,000 to the sum because M equals 1,000. And then we put our break statement. In the case of, or I'll put an extra space just to look nice. In the case of D, I'm going to add 500 to the sum. In the case of C, now this is where our exceptions come in. So this is where things get a little bit different. So if we're looking at a C, then there are 3 possibilities that could happen. First possibility is that it could be coming before D, and that means that we're going to get a 500 out of this. Second possibility is it comes before M. I mean, not 500. We would get a 400 in that case because CD equals 400. Second possibility is that it comes before M, giving us 900. And third possibility is just C being on its own and not coming before one of those 2 numbers. So how I set this up is I have an if-else statement inside this case. So if C, or rather, if the next character is D, then rather than adding 100 to the sum, you would add 400. Oh, and then also, before the break statement, I extra increment of the I, because once we've looked at our next character and we know that that's contributing to this current number, we don't want to look at that again. Like, we don't want to count CD, meaning 400, and then count that D again as its own number in the next step, because that's that would be a logic error right there. So for this solution, we increment I an extra time to make sure that we don't end up counting D again. Else, if next car equals M, then we're going to add 900 to the sum, and then do the extra incrementation, and then break. And then else, third possibility is the C is just on its own. So if the next character is not D or M, then that means that we're just going to count the C as its own number. So we're just going to add 100 to the sum. And then we're not going to increment an extra time, because that means that we are going to look at the next character on its own. All right, and very similar methodology for the rest of the numbers, just with different values, basically. So like for L, you would just add, since there are no extra cases for L, you would just add 50 to the sum and then break. Just scroll down my reference over here really quick. All right, and then X, this is going to be another one with additional cases. I think I may just copy and paste this actually to speed things up a tiny bit. Do you think that would confuse anybody?
I don't think so. That's
I
what.
haven't gotten any questions yet. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
it'll be
what
very
we do in our
similar,
projects. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I'll just copy and paste this, and then I'll change the values in it. So in the case of X, if the next value is L, that means that it's going to become 40. If it's C, that is going to be 90. Else, X just equals 10. And yeah. Next case is 5. And this will be another simple one. So you would just add 5 to the sum. And then last case is I. And this is another one with multiple cases inside of it. So I could come before V, and then that would create 4. Then it could come before X, and that would create 9. Else you would just add 1 to the sum. Just double check all of that. Y'all think that looks good?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
believe
Oh,
that
and
is
then
correct.
one more thing, we need to return the sum at the end. So one thing I probably skimmed over is that this problem is asking us to return an int. So it's asking us to return what S is as an integer. Usually these kinds of problems will have you return some sort of value rather than, say, printing it out.
Like if you scroll to the top, Liam, you'll see that LeetCode auto generates like the fact that you're calling it like a function. You're making a function that they will call.
Yeah. So I'll explain how this works after I put this last part in. So basically, how LeetCode and these other sites grade your problem is they give it a bunch of test cases, and they basically throw anything they can think of at it to make sure that your algorithm can handle it. And that includes really crazy high numbers. Not so much for this problem, but like
Like some of them, they give you example test cases over on the side there. You can see.
Right, the
And sometimes
constraints.
they'll be like that strings, and then you'll look at like the actual constraints they have, and it'll say like, oh yeah, and you're supposed to be testing for strings with thousands of characters in them.
yeah, like
So,
see
like they try to break it as many edge cases as they can.
Yeah. So that's why it's important when you're writing these solutions to make sure that you're able to process stuff quickly. You want to have a really efficient algorithm, because otherwise it just might not accept it.
If they're too slow, they will reject it.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and run this code before we submit it.
Yes.
See what it tells us. Wants me to sign in. I was hoping it wouldn't do that. Well, I guess I could just switch over to my regular screen now since since I already typed all this out for y'all. All right.
I just linked my GitHub, so I can just sign in with GitHub. It's easier that way.
So then, yeah, as you can see, this site's really nice because it's just, since it's all like on the browser, you can easily just mock up solutions and test them right away. Assuming you have an account, apparently, but you know.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, we'll be releasing a problem every week and then going over it in the meeting. And this was our first time, so we might tweak how we do things, but nonetheless, if you wanted to make your own solution and then code along during the meeting, just so you can get that practice, feel free to do that. That'll give you a lot of practice throughout the semester as we go through the problems week to week.
We likely won't do like full on like watch the guy type the code out every time.
Yeah,
That's mostly just to teach you how to use the website, hopefully.
Yep.
But instead, we'll just show you the full solution and explain how we got there.
Exactly.
Okay, so hopefully I didn't make any typos. Yeah. So like, and you can put different test cases into it if you want. Like I think it gives you the first few test cases. Yeah. So like, it start.
We don't see it.
Oh, you don't see it?
You're sharing the wrong Chrome tab.
Yeah, it's the.
Oh shoot. Okay, let me close that out then. Hold on.
See, we're professionals.
Very professional. Sorry about that, y'all. So I clicked this run code button and it says that it accepted it. And you can put in different test cases if you want to. Like it tells you the first few test cases that it's going to try when it's grading your problem. So like if I wanted to throw a more complex string at it, I could just copy and paste this into the test case and then try running it and see what it does. And then it accepted it. So let's go ahead and hit the submit button since we're feeling pretty confident in this.
What'd you say, Brandon?
You do multiple test cases at once.
Can you do multiple test cases? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. No.
I haven't tried that. I feel like you might not be able to because when you hit this run code button, it's just taking in what you put in here into the function.
But there
it's only running the function once, so.
So now that it said that it accepted his solution, it also gives him some metrics on how actually good he did.
Yeah. So I just happened to do really well with this solution right here because the runtime was only 3 milliseconds. That's pretty dang fast. Faster than 99.91% of Java online submissions for Roman to integer. So it's better than that percentage of the other solutions that anybody has submitted on the site. Memory usage, 39.1 megabytes, less than 75.33%. You know, smaller percentage than the other one, but still really good. If your solution ends up being really slow, then chances are, instead of saying accepted for the status, which means you passed it, it'll probably say time limit exceeded or something like that. or ran out of memory. And that tells you that your solution might be correct, but it's not the most efficient way to solve the problem. So you may want to look through your code again, see if there's anything you can cut out or shorten, or maybe think of a different solution.
Will you show them?
Harder.
Sorry, Brandon. I was just gonna say, if you go to discuss, a lot of people post their solutions. So if you don't have premium, you can't look at the solution, but you can see other people's solution to get an idea.
It's a lot of times the harder problems, like the actual problem to solve is very simple, but the brute force method will usually be way too slow for what they actually want, and they want you to solve it in a smart, clever way that actually reduces the amount of work you do. So like for example, the reason why Liam's thing might be considered so fast compared to a lot of the other ones is that just the fact he increments I whenever he knows that he's already read 2 characters. That is technically like an optimization instead of like reading the next character and like, oh, if the previous one already read it, then do that. Instead, he just actually incrementing I means that there's less computations going on.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're really stumped, you can just look at these solutions and get some ideas. All right. So is there anything else that we want to talk about with LeetCode, or maybe we should like transition into the alternative sites?
Yeah, we go back to Nick and talk about the other sites. Probably good.
What did you guys want to do with the other side? I mean, we kind of showed them off earlier. I didn't know if we wanted to go in any more depth. Actually, Brandon, if you want to talk about Caddis and Zachtronics, we can do that.
Yeah. So I don't know if Liam, if you have the PowerPoint pulled up, you got the links again.
I think Nick has it pulled up.
Yeah, I've got it pulled up. I can share my screen.
Okay.
So yeah, I know the one. So 2 main things I actually want to talk about. So the alternative sites, Caddis is the one that we like UWF like actually officially used for training for programming competitions. That's the one I was familiar with. It's a lot like the like LeetCode and HackerRank, except probably more janky. It's definitely a bit more indie, but it's also completely free, so you never actually have to worry about paying for anything. And like you can host competitions, little tournaments, things on here, which we might end up doing if we get if people seem interested enough in the weekly problems that we do. So I highly recommend. It's just another resource, another problem repository that'll help you hone your skills. So I recommend just looking for problems that seem cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool how they do the universities on here too. They compare them.
So obviously, it's not happening this year, but like I said, we did use this to train for the ICPC competition, which is the International Collegiate Programming Competition, which UWF was able to win the regionals at least 2 years in a row, thanks to our fine team, which happens to have me on me.
I showed up like an hour and a half late on like 3 hours of sleep, so I wasn't much of a contributor to that one.
It definitely requires it's like 6 hours straight of just solving these problems, and some of them are so hard like no one gets them, and you'll bang your head against the wall for hours. 3 hours of sleep is would be awful. I'm so sorry, Cars. But yeah, events like that and events like Code Fest, which aren't happening this year unfortunately, but hopefully next year you guys will get a chance to actually go to, and those are awesome ways to keep your skills growing and like use the tools you learn here to actually apply them to more conventional things.
TCS Code Vita?
I have not heard of that one, but I'm Googling it now.
TCS Code Vita.
Sounds familiar.
Programming contest to attract young, impressionable college students. That is quite the tagline.
That's one competition Max has heard of. Showed up late. That's
chat.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then, yeah, if you find any online competitions, feel free to link those in the Discord. I'm sure people would be happy to hear about them.
Yeah.
Especially online ones nowadays, but it looks like this one is. So yeah, something like that would be great. Time for colors.
Zachtronics.
Yes, and so Zachtronics, if you want to go for a more gamey route, then I think Zachtronics is a developer that makes puzzle games essentially, and so half of his puzzle games are more spatial logic puzzles, and then the other half are actually just programming ones. Like if you do Shenzhen IO, Nick.
Oh, I did Opus Magnum. Remember that.
So it's bad, yeah. So I have a hate nostalgia. How could you hate Zachtronics games? So yeah, they like the game doesn't actually even have like a tutorial. It just you download like a PDF of like how to learn the coding language for it, and then you just start solving the puzzle that it throws at you. And it's a lot like those websites that we just showed you, except it has like a cool story attached to it. It's a lot more gamey and fun in my opinion. And the puzzles it gives you are like things that like the reason I was able to do so good in these competitions that I went to is because of these games, I believe, because I've been playing them for years. And yeah, and so I recommend just turning scoreboards off the first time because you're always going to be disappointed when you first try and see what your percentile and how efficient you are. TIS 100 is one that I know it's like the famous one for being awfully hard, and that one is like that's the only one I've never been able to beat because my God, it is impossible IMO. But they're all amazing. Like I love all the guys' game, at least the puzzle games he makes. They're all fantastic, and I think they are actually amazing tools for learning how to think think the way you need to think to solve problems.
And they look pretty cheap too.
Yeah, especially if there's ever like a Steam sale, like wait for summer sale this year, you'll probably be able to get a whole bundle of them for like $10.
Yep.
And I highly recommend all of them.
Cool. Oh, one thing I did want to mention is that any of these sites, especially nowadays, they all have like job boards on them. So if you are, job hunting, that's a good place, a good resource. Like it looks like Caddis has one. I know HackerRank definitely has one. So just an FYI on that. Was there anything else you want to talk about, guys, before we move forward? Or
I don't think so.
Anybody have any questions? Any concerns? I see Gabe, TIS, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, if you do, just feel free to shoot it while we go on.
Yeah, I think Brandon, you were going to talk about our next event as well.
Yeah, so this week we tried out a new thing, like a resource spotlight, where we just shout out a certain kind of resource. This case, there's like little problem repos and testing things like LeetCode stuff. So, and we'll probably do events like that in the future. And so next week, along with our next LeetCode problem, we'll be having another event that'll be a resume workshop. So for those of you that want to actually start applying to various internships or even jobs, if you are that late in your career, hope that'll be a good resource for you. I highly recommend going to career development. They'll be able to help you build a good basic resume. But the problem is they don't have a lot of people that are focused specifically in tech fields, which is
exactly
requires a little bit different nuance. And so we have obviously Nick right now works for Navy Federal, so he has plenty of experience looking at or how to build an actual technical based resume that'll get you a job in our field as opposed to just a general one that they'd give you in career development.
Gabe is asking if we would like it in a PDF or Word document for the resumes. I will say whenever you're submitting for a job, you always want to submit as a PDF, because if you submit as a Word doc, then when the recruiter opens it up on their computer, there's a good chance that the font and the whole layout will be messed up. But if you save it as a PDF, then it won't be like that. So I guess I'd say PDF just to get in the habit of it.
Yeah, PDF. We'll find a way to edit the PDF. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I usually submit as PDF. Okay, good.
Yeah, I think PDF would be good for us too as well.
If you do send it to us, you are technically giving us the rights to use it in our next presentation. We will take all your names and personal info out of it. Just making sure.
That's true though, Gabe. Like we can edit it as a Word doc and then we can just export it as a PDF.
Okay.
But we can like you can blur out a PDF thing. Like worst case, you just take a screenshot of it.
Yeah. Either way.
Yeah.
Well, whatever format you want, man. Just we'll figure it out. It's what our degrees are for.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I'm excited for the resume workshop. Like I mentioned before, Gail Mcdowell, Cracking the Coding Interview. She has a whole template, and we'll show you that and some other resources you can use for tech resumes specifically that will help. And, you know, like Brandon said, career development is really good for general resume, but it's different for every field, right?
Mhm.
So
So they do great pictures. If you need a professional picture,
That's
definitely
true.
go for them for that.
Yes.
that's true.
Yes.
Mhm.
LinkedIn.
Yes. Yeah, we
Get
can talk
on
about
that.
that. We could talk about that as well.
Are they doing those right now though? Are they doing those?
pictures?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
You probably have to make like an appointment. I definitely call ahead
Yeah.
and do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're doing that because they just had the suit up event, so they've got to be doing that.
Mhm.
Liam, do you want, because you have the most experience? So guys, that's basically if that was it. If we're good to move forward.
That's it from me.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it for a
Uh,
resource spotlight.